This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I will rejoice, I will rejoice, and be glad in it, and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made for me. This is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I will rejoice, I will rejoice, and be glad in it, and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made for me. This is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I will rejoice, I will rejoice, and be glad in it, and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made for me. Welcome, welcome to Guideland Unity Church. Those of you who are watching online, and those of you that are in house. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm going to do our personal statement. We're going to start with that, which is God is both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all perfect life, perfect love, perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And now for the reading of the daily word. Today's word is glory. I celebrate the glory of God in myself and others. Magnificence, radiance, and tremendous power, these are all inspiring qualities that describe the glory of God. Because I'm a living expression of spirit, these glorious attributes are also part of my spiritual nature. In the peace of prayer, exquisite awareness of God's glory fills my mind and heart. Everyone is God's living expression, a reflection of divine glory, just as I am. Even with my limited human perception, has not yet perceived it, my faith shows me this truth about every person I meet. As my awareness of glory within awakens, spiritual wisdom, understanding, and love teach me to cooperate with all who are seeking to build greater harmony, abundance, and compassion with the world's creatures. The glory that you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are. And that comes from John chapter 7, verse 22. Okay. Now, together in your bulletin, let's do our church blessing. Give you a few minutes to find it, and we are going to do that one together. May the Spirit of God always abide in Godland. May the truth of Christ be freely expressed. May God's healing love bless our souls. May God's wealth prosper us all. May Christ's peace keeps us safe and secure. And now, we will have the Lord's Prayer, if you could stand. And now we will have our meditation by Reverend Nikki.
Good morning, Godland. I love you all. And let's take this moment to relax into this space by taking intentional deep breaths. Feeling the very breath of God move through us as we inhale with ease and release with ease. We relax and surrender our beingness to spirit in this right now moment. The very breath of God is breathing us. And within we affirm, God's will is the only will. God's will for me is perfect happiness. And I share God's will for happiness for me. And I receive it now. I am at peace. Nothing can disturb my peace. For my will and God's will are one. And peace is my only goal. God's will is healing me. My thoughts, my hearing, my vision, for the will of God directs me. And I see God's presence all around me. I release all conflict thoughts, for they are meaningless. I release all judgment. And I fill myself with the truth and the peace of God. There is no will but the will of God's, and my will is in alignment with the will of God. And I experience the gentle nature of God as I move throughout my day, this week to come, and forward. My body as it heals itself, I feel the gentle correction, the warmth, the Spirit of God. And I rest in a space of gratitude, for I am knowing that is the will of God that is blessing me. I rest in the love of God. I move in the love of God. I move with the love of God. For that is who and what I am. There is nothing but the love of God, and I rest in that joy today. And I experience this light within myself and everyone that I meet. God's will is the only will, and my will is in alignment with God. I am that I am, and I am grateful, and so it is.
Though the storms keep on rolling in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day, still that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know he'll lead me to that blessed place he has prepared. But if the storms don't cease, and if the wind keeps blowing, my soul has been anchored in the Lord. The storms keep on rolling in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day. Still that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know he'll lead me to that blessed place he has prepared. But if the storms don't cease, and if the wind keeps blowing, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. I realize that sometimes we're gonna be tossed by the waves and the currents that seem so fierce. But in the Word of God, oh, I've got an anchor that keeps me steadfast and unmovable despite the tide. But if the storms don't cease, and if the wind keeps blowing, blowing, blowing in my life, my soul been anchored in the Lord, in the Lord, in the Lord, in the Lord. The billows may roll, the breakers may dash, I shall not fail because he holds me fast. So dark tonight, dark in the sky, I know I can't feel because the Lord, he is my soul, my soul, my soul, my soul. My soul's been anchored, my soul's been anchored, my soul's been anchored, my soul's been anchored. The billows may roll, the breakers may dash, I shall not fail, he holds me fast. So dark the night, dark is the sky, I know I cannot fail because the Lord, he is my soul, my soul, my soul, my soul. My soul is anchored, my soul is anchored, my soul is anchored, my soul is anchored. The billows they may roll, you know the breaker may dash, I shall not fail, he holds me fast. So dark the night, dark is the sky, I know I cannot fail because the Lord is my soul, my soul, my soul, my soul. My soul, my soul been anchored, my soul been anchored, my soul been anchored, my soul been anchored. The bills may roll, the break may dash, I shall not fail, he holds me fast. So dark the night, dark is the sky, I know I cannot fail because the Lord, he is my soul, my soul, my soul, my soul. But if the storm don't cease, and if the wind keeps blowing, blowing, blowing in my life, my soul been anchored in the Lord.
right. All right, so we're going to present you with another soul that's anchored in the Lord, and that's going to be Reverend Nikki. And I just wanted to say a few things about Reverend Nikki. She's been here before, so we all know her. But just give you a little bit more background. Reverend Nikki has a certification, is a minister of A Course in Miracles. And so I know you guys hear a lot about that teaching and that book, A Course in Miracles. It is one of along with the Bible, that is where my spiritual teachings come from. It is a place where you can learn to live a life of joy, a life of peace, a life of happiness, and just go with the flow and just learn how to live this life on a great pathway of love. So this month, as we're closing out the Power of Will, Reverend Nikki is coming with us. Her sermon is going to be rooted in willingness. And I guess she's going to ask you, are you willing? So now we have Reverend Nikki.
Thank you. Oh, Charmaine, you make it so easy and difficult at the same time. Good morning, Godland. My soul is anchored. My soul is anchored. To this week's title, Rooted in Willing, came from an affirmation that I kept hearing time and time and time again as I went through my week. That I was rooted in the truth of God, rooted in the love of God, and I was willing to move on. Just willing to move on with the vision and what I know to be true. And so my soul is anchored. Hearing you sing that was just confirmation and affirmation to the message that Spirit has given me today. And with that being said, there's only one power and one presence active in our lives, and that is God, the good omnipotent. There is only one presence and one power active in my life, and that is God, the good omnipotent. And in this right now moment, I surrender my mind and my heart, my beingness to be used. I'm grateful, Godland. I am grateful. And it is so. This is the month of will. And the power center is right here in the center of our foreheads. The color is silver, and the disciple is Matthew. And last week we discussed God's will, the ability to will forward or manifest, and our free will. And we also discussed the path of intuition versus rational thinking. And we discovered some things about choice, and the question was, what do you elect for yourselves? What is it that you're choosing for yourself? Are you choosing to see the good? Are you choosing to see God in all things to move forward within your day? And I believe we all answered, yay, yes, that is our choice. I believe we all chose to say yes, that we are anchored and rooted in God. And so that brings me to this week's message, this week's scripture, which is Romans 12, verse 2. And do not be conformed to this world any longer with its superficial values and customs, but be transformed and progressively changed as you ascend spiritually by the renewing of your mind, focusing on godly values, ethical attitudes, so that you may prove for yourself what the will of God is, that which is good, acceptable, and perfect in God's plan and purpose for you. Now, when I read this, it became very personal, for it starts out with, to understand for you, for self, spirit with self, to rise above this world, to release everything that we see for understanding deeper within self. As Laverne said earlier, I am a student and a teacher of A Course in Miracles. One thing the Course in Miracles says about this world is that this world has no meaning whatsoever besides the meaning that we give it. So when people say that the earth, this space, is the lowest vibration, or the earth, this space, has no meaning, I believe, and I've interpreted to believe, that it is because it is our gift, this space to create, this space to bring forth the will of God, the love of God, this space to show up as the light is empty because we are to fill it with love and light. You see, when I look deeper into the Course and looking at Romans 12:2 to be renewed, to be transformed by the renewing of our mind, and what we learned last week was that our mind at birth, God tethers itself to it. God's mind and our mind at the time of our conception is connected automatically. We are connected in that we are made in the mind of God, and we are connected to God through our mind. And so when we stay in a space of constant surrender, I call it surrendership, my relationship to spirit. I'm in surrendership. That's what I know. When we stay in that space of surrender and leaving our mind clear to be receptive to the messages of love and light, we then bring that forth into this space, into this world, and that is what we create. However, there are times when a block may come, right? And we discussed that. This week, I've been taking classes from 9 a.m. to 4:30. I'm in class. From 5 to 10, I'm at work. That's my week, and I've been excited about it. And this week became a challenge. We started the business plan in school. And in this business plan, this vision that I've had, this vision that has been given to me for what my next is as I create this new world. You see, I'm surrounded by retirees. And their life is real easy from my perception at this point. They wake up when they want to wake up. They go to sleep when they want to sleep. You know, I remember meditation was at 7 a.m. Meditation has started at 11 a.m. And I'm like, you know, what is going on? And so once the retirees started filling my world, I decided to retire from some things in my life and reinvent. And this week was the time for the business plan, which is basically writing the vision down and making it clear, right? And I felt blocks. And within these blocks, I started questioning, had I made a wrong turn in making this decision? And when I started questioning, had I made the wrong turn in this decision because of the blocks I was experiencing, then I started talking to myself about the price that I have paid the school for this opportunity, and now has this become a costly mistake? You see the mindset that was happening? You see how it quickly started undoing itself? And then I started to lose hope in my decision and my choice. Excuse me. And as I sat with myself and I sat with my soul, I began examining my heart. See, sometimes we have to allow our heart to speak for our minds to hear. And I realized that that void I was feeling and that block that appeared was because a dear, dear friend of mine made her transition earlier this year. And she was a master esthetician. And she was a mentor for me and a major encourager. And part of my plan included her. We had this wonderful story, and I would go down to Charlotte, and she would have events, and I would speak, and this plan had a gaping hole in it. And that was the challenge. And so because I allowed my heart to speak, and I allowed my heart, I allowed my mind to hear what my heart was speaking, I was able to realign myself. I was able to hear the voice of spirit Now this is what I did do. Let's backtrack. So how did I reconnect, right? This is what has happened. I decided to write a letter to my friend. I did. I just sat down and I wrote a letter to my friend. And in essence, in writing that letter to my friend, I was truly writing a letter to God. The voice I heard back, I could say it was my friend, but truly and honestly, it was Spirit talking back to me, confirming and affirming the choice that I had made and that I had gone on the right path. So in that moment, what did I choose? The Course in Miracles says that sin, which we all know is error, is a flower with no root. It's a flower that is grown or blooms in the world itself, and it has no root. For this world does not produce creation. It only produces our manifestation. The creators, which we are, bring creation to this world. And A Course of Miracles calls that the lily of forgiveness. So in that moment, I forgave myself for doubt. I forgave myself for questioning the plans that God had laid out for me. And I was able to hear and bring back the vision or the creation from the supernatural to manifest in this space, in this world. Keeping in alignment with purpose and passion, fueled by Spirit. And I think that's very important for us in this time as we navigate this space, because there is so much that is being challenged for us. We're being challenged on several corners of life. Things are coming, and I think it's important that we remain rooted in truth, keeping our minds rooted constantly in the love of God, and renewing our minds not daily, not once a week, but every second, every moment, with every breath, examining our whys, examining our feelings, examining what direction we're going into, but not overthinking. Because remember, intuition versus rational thinking. Remaining hopeful, knowing that God sees and understands and that we have the ability to be the light, and that it only takes a handful of us to say yes to our calling to be the light, to be the answer, to cure the world. Because the world that we seek to correct is the world that we project from our own minds. So that correction within self, that correction within ourselves, offering ourselves the forgiveness, will lead to a new perception, and we can see everything whole and complete. So we're renewing our minds. And the best way I would say to renew our minds is how I said what I said earlier. Allow your mind to hear your heart speak. Be honest with the emotions that are overflowing from your heart space and your heart center. And have no shame with any of them. Whether you feel like it's error, mistake, disconnect, anger, rage, grief, mourning, whatever it may be, you feel it all. And it's important in this time and in this dispensation. We're being called to ascend and to level up in our thinking. We're being called to come into a wholeness as a community, to come into the one mind of God together as individual expressions, individual heartbeats, of rhythms within ourselves make one music, one song. And it's a beautiful, beautiful ballad, right?
Right.
It's a love that skips and fills this earth. It's a love that heals. It's one that exceeds the human understanding. And that is why it's important to elevate beyond this world and not to be conformed or stuck in this space. Because this space changes as our mind changes. This space changes and elevates as our mind elevates, as our thoughts elevate. As we release ourselves from the idea of mistake and error and understand that lessons take us closer and higher to our true self. The will of God, once we align with it, or once we accept it, or once we acknowledge that it is us, puts us in perfect order. That's next month. I'm not getting into it, but that's where it leads us into. A perfect space in perfect alignment where we experience the perfection of life itself, that of God. I'm not going to be long today. I'm not, and I am nearing the end. It was very brief. But that is because we are to move forward in action. This is a time of action and beingness. It's a time to incorporate all that we know, all that we are, and extend it forward. To see ourselves whole and complete, to experience this world whole and complete, and to focus second by second, moment by moment on the conversations that we are telling ourselves about self. I remember being a child and not being allowed to, I don't want to say not being allowed to say I'm sick, but the minute you would say, I'm not feeling well, I'm sick, it's nope, every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. And that is how we are to go on with this week, knowing that everything is in alignment, knowing that everything is well, knowing that this body does not represent us, knowing that this world is not our reality. Our reality is what we think and what we bring forth. We can change this at any given time. You don't like it, shift. The shift is difficult, I understand. Believe me, I understand. Especially when we made a false reality real. Especially when we told ourselves that the world that we had created was the answer to all of the perceived problems that we have been experiencing. And I speak that for myself because I've been there. But the ability to release and to dream and create anew, to allow what we thought was real to fade away and to pull out from the ethers with spirit, with God, and create what is sustainable and gives us the true joy, the true peace, the love, the gentleness, the honesty, the energy that opens our minds to be able to hear and feel the spirit, the presence of Holy Spirit. The presence of spirit that restores hope when we cross the bridge of hopelessness. That space to be able to pull out of and bring into the manifested joy that we see within our colleagues, our families, our friends. Going into relationships with people, I often hear, I just want to make you happy. And the biggest response I ever get that I give is, it's not your responsibility to make me happy. My happiness is mine to own. My joy is mine to create. No one on the outside of you is responsible for your living experience. No one on the outside of you has created, and I know this is sometimes a hard pill to swallow, has created your living experience. That experience comes from within. Christ said it. and he lived it. Experience this world with the renewing of your mind, with your soul anchored in truth. Ready to experience the miracle of shift of perception, ready to experience the miracle of forgiveness, and ready to experience the miracle of life itself. Trust your inner guide, remain honest with yourself, and maintain an open mind, and allow spirit to have its way. I appreciate and love you, Godland. Thank you for this morning. And so it is.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So, are we ready for the renewing of our minds in truth? And if we can do that, we know that our souls will be anchored in the Lord and that we will have all of that peace, that joy, and that happiness that we're looking forward to. And so now we want to have our offertory blessings. And so if the ushers would come up, that would be great. Yes.
Give and he'll give it back to you. Press down, shaking together, running over. Back in good measures, he'll give it back to you. One God land. Give and he'll give it back to you. Give and he'll give it back to you. Give and he'll give it back to you. Press down, shaking together, running over. Back in good measure, he'll give it back to you. Let's give the people on your right. Give and he'll give it back to you. Give and we'll give it back to you. Give and he'll give it back to you. Press down, shaking together, running over. Back in good measure, he'll give it back to you. Let's give people on your left now. Give and we'll give it back to you. Give and he'll give it back to you. Give and he'll give it back to you. Press down, shaking together, running over. Back in measure, he'll give it back to you. Let's give it to Sally today. Give and we'll give it back to you. Give and we'll give it back to you. Give and we'll give it back to you. Press down, shaking together, running over. Back in measure, we'll give it back to you. One time for Cardland Unity Church. Give and we'll give it back to you. Give and we'll give it back to you. Give and we'll give it back to you. Press down, shaking together, running over. Back in measure, we'll give it back to you.
Divine love blesses and multiplies all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. And we thank you, God. And at this time, I would like to have Nicole's family just please stand up. And thank you for coming. Thank you so much. If we could just give them a hand. For announcements, we are planning on having World Day of Prayer September 11th right here at Godland. We're from 11 o'clock until 6 in the evening. We're going to have prayer. So if anyone have any prayer requests that they want to leave in the prayer box, we'll be having prayer. And if you want to come out for prayer and meditation, we'll have Reverend Tate, and we're having Let's Talk. We're having Reverend Cynthia Lowe from to come over and do prayer. So we're just going to be doing prayer and meditation all day that day. From 11 to 6, there will be a flyer going out that will explain it. I can give you more information. Also, the last Saturday of the month is coming up, so the seniors will be having the regular senior meeting this Saturday with Reverend Tate and Reverend Dorothy Collins. Every Wednesday, there's a Let's Talk conference. You can access it. The information is in your bulletin, the phone number and the code, how to get in on the Let's Talk conference. And again, like I just mentioned, the last Saturday each month, the season ministry will meet. And so that's the end of our announcements, unless someone else has something else they would like to announce. Okay. Refreshments in the back, coffee and cake. Thank you, Dorothy Collins, for that. So now we will have our prayer of protection. Again, if there's any more announcements. And again, thanks for your presence today.